As a real estate agent, few things feel more defeating than pouring your heart and soul into your business, only for the results to come much slower than expected. If you've ever felt stuck or overwhelmed or questioned if your plan is working, this episode is for you. Today, I'm joined by Eddie Brady, a standout agent from Maryland who left his very, very steady government job and burnt the ships and committed to building a real estate business he loves using the Agent Rise framework. And by the end of this episode, you're going to hear exactly how Eddie stays consistent and has built his winning YouTube strategy and turned the uncertainty of this market into momentum. And if you skip this episode, I'm telling you, you might miss out on the mindset and the systems that could help you finally break through and build the real estate business you've been dreaming of. And before we jump into it, if you're looking for help in building your 3-pillar plan, make sure you go to agentrisecoaching.com and book your one-on-one strategy session today. And now, let's get into it. Here is my interview with Eddie Brady. Welcome to the Agent Rise podcast, where we celebrate that you are unique, one of a kind. Instead of asking you to do things that make you cringe, we help you create a clear, personalized plan that aligns with you. No more overthinking or wasting time, just a straightforward path to building a real estate business you love. Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. I'm your host, Neil Mathwig, and today I'm joined with one of my favorite agents, Eddie Brady, up in Maryland. Welcome to the show, Eddie. How are you today, my friend?
Good. Thank you for having me for a second time. I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome. I had to start it out by saying you're one of my favorite agents because I absolutely love working with you. It's such a pleasure, and you're really one of the things that I love so much about you is your mindset. You're always focused. You're always looking for the positive and growing. How do you do that? How do you stay so focused?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think the way that I say focus is having this unwavering belief. I feel like that it's going to work, and that's hard to come up with at first, to have that belief. But when I joined the business, I left my federal government job in 2021. And when I joined this business, I said, I have to go all in. If I'm going to do this, I have to go all in, and I have to believe that it's going to work or there's no point. So I kind of came into it with that mindset and committed to that mindset. So I just think whether it's a good market or a bad market, I'm going to find a way to make it work. And that's kind of what I've stuck with so far.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And there are a lot of agents right now that are struggling, right? And it's a challenging market. I've said it before. I think these times, and we look at the sales, we're kind of recession type numbers, right? And it's very challenging and hard to stay focused. And you've continued to find a way to move forward. What would you say to the agents that are struggling? What would you say that you're doing different that you're seeing that they're not doing?
Yeah, I think it goes back to mindset, right? So in this business, it takes a while for results to actually show up. So that's especially true in a market that's in a downturn, or it's flipping into a different direction. You're used to a seller's market, and now you're in a buyer's market. So you really have to know that the runway to getting deals is longer than what most people tell you. And if you can keep that kind of mindset of, if I just keep chugging along, this is going to work, and I'm going to take advantage now while it's slow to build everything I need, so that when it does start chugging along, I can handle the business. That's how you really keep mentally going, I think, in these times, because these could be lean months. Like I've gone through some lean months, which I've shared with you. And what gets you through is knowing it's going to work, and just believing it's truly going to work. If I just keep every day working on the plan, it will pay off.
What's going on in your mind that might not be happening in their mind?
Yeah, I think I made a commitment, right? So when I said I left this business, let's go back to that time, because I think that kind of plays into it. So when I left to go full-time real estate from my federal government job, I'd only made about half the money in real estate I would need to be able to fund my current lifestyle. So it was a big jump. It was a burn the boats type of moment where if it didn't work, it was a big problem. So I think the commitment is the biggest thing. So whether I really feel like it or not, which, to be honest, I don't feel like doing a lot of the things in the plan most of the time. I just got to be honest about it. But the commitment is what keeps me going with it, knowing that I got to make it work. Not only do I believe it's going to work, but I've committed to doing it whether I don't feel like it. If I don't feel like recording that day and I'm maybe in a bad mood, I'm going to do it anyway. I think that's the difference between if you're struggling or not, it is you've committed. The person who's committed, no matter what, they're going to go out there, they're going to film, they're going to make a call, they're going to meet people. And I think that pays off over the months to come if you really do that.
Yeah. And it's like we say too, like, you're not going to fail unless you quit. Right. And you're talking about not quitting day to day. Right. Like, I think big picture, I'm not going to quit real estate. I'm all in. Right. But
Yeah.
like, you're not going to quit on your plan. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is a day by day thing because mentally you could be good one day and the next day you're just not, right? So yeah, it has to be every day you wake up and you decide I'm going to do it again because I know it's going to work because I see other people doing it. I think that's another thing too. If you see other people that are successful, they're no different, and that's where people kind of get hung up. I think when I started, I thought the agents that were doing 50 or 100 deals a year had something special, and then I went to the masterminds with them, and I realized there's nothing special other than they believed in themselves and they just stuck with it and they stayed committed. They're not really any smarter than you. They're not any more skilled. Some of them are obviously, but for the most part, they just really believed it and committed to it. So every day you just have to wake up and know that, hey, if I stick with it, I could do exactly what they're going to do or even better.
Yes, you kind of like almost choose your hard, right? You choose your hard and you keep going. And I think too, with all of this, you're seeing that your clear plan is really helping you, right? Like, how do we stay consistent if you don't have a clear plan to stay consistent with? And you truly have a clear plan to stay consistent with. And has that helped?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It's not really an option in this business, in my opinion, to not have a plan because otherwise you're going to try things for a few weeks and you're not going to have a reason of why you're doing it or what it's supposed to lead to. And you give up because, like I said, the runway for a lot of deals or for deals to start in this business can be long. It feels like you're just going forever before you get that first one. So if you're always switching, you might never see the results or the fruits of your labor. So having a plan, that's your way of saying, okay, here's my goal. I'm going to reverse engineer that. And if I just follow these steps, I should get there. So it's really important. I obviously follow the Agent Rise planner and go through it that way and go through the vivid vision and all of that. And that's how I come up with mine. But if you don't have that, I just don't think you'll ever really see what you want in this business. So you need to clarify what that endpoint looks like.
Let's talk more about your plan. And you've got a beautiful 3-pillar plan that's producing results that you're going for. Tell us a little bit about the make of your 3 pillars.
Yeah. So I have 2 pillars that are really strong and one on pause, right? So we'll talk about them. So first, my sphere of influence, a pillar. My main thing I do is paper newsletters. It's the thing that I doubted the most in the beginning in Agent Rise, and that's turned out to be really just awesome for my business. So paper newsletters, without fail, I've sent them out since the beginning of this program. I started in March of 2022 and haven't stopped. So that's one. That's a main pillar. Coupling that with client events and house anniversary cards and all that. But my main pillar is attraction. YouTube is my thing. It's the thing I get most excited to talk about. The thing I was most hesitant to start, and and some social media, which I'm sure we could talk about. But YouTube has really produced the most results for me lately, and I'm excited to add little things to it every week. And my chase pillar is on hold, and I've got it fully built out. It's geo farming for seller leads in specific neighborhoods, and I'm just waiting for the switch to turn it on when I have the bandwidth. But I'm so excited about YouTube. I just want to keep that going because it's really working.
Yes, let's talk more about YouTube. You said you were hesitant to get started with YouTube, right? You saw the workload and the effort that it was going to take, and also the vulnerability, right? To put yourself out there and communicate on camera on a consistent basis. Can you walk us through that? Because I know there's a lot of agents that struggle with that.
Yeah. So I think too, when you watch people on YouTube, you're worried about how do I get that quality of video and the quality of microphone. And one thing I'll say is I just started with my phone and a tripod that would fall over all the time. Actually, I started with a gimbal that would run out of battery and fall over, and then a tripod. So the hardest part about it is just mentally starting because you feel like YouTube has to be overproduced when it really doesn't. It's actually less produced on the back end than Instagram. Instagram, you feel like you have to polish up and look amazing. YouTube is just providing information. And what I've found is when you really start to record YouTube, it's easier to post on there versus Instagram or social media because you don't know anybody on there. So you're not worried about like the person in the or in your office or wherever saying, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube." It's not meant for them, right? So it's meant for other people moving. So I think it actually is easier. It's just getting over that first hurdle of, oh, I'm a YouTube creator now in your mind. And once you do that, it can be actually a lot of fun.
That's awesome. You have truly seen yourself as a guide, right? You
Mhm.
are connecting with people on YouTube, and we'll talk about the results in a little bit here. But you're connecting with a lot of people and forming a lot of great relationships. And you're seeing yourself as a guide. Like, and I always instruct people that, hey, if somebody were to walk into your office and you were to tell them all about Frederick, Maryland, you'd have no problem, right? You would be able to tell them
Yep.
for days. And so now just do that on camera, and you've found a way to be able to do that on a
Yeah.
consistent basis.
Yeah, and I another challenge I would say that agents have is they don't think they know enough about their city, but I didn't either. I just went on the websites and started looking at what are the events, what are the updates for developments coming on, and eventually, when you just keep studying that, you become the expert. It's inevitable if you just keep making videos. But in the beginning, you won't. So that's one thing. But the reason I think YouTube works actually really well is because there's not a lot of resources out there if you really look on places to move. Like, go on Google and search best places to move in an area, and the resources you find outside of YouTube are probably wrong, right? Or like, I go on there and I find areas that aren't even in that county, and they say it's the best place to live, where it's either YouTube or Reddit where you're going to find your real information, and that's why I think it works. People trust YouTube to find what's really going on. They like the video aspect. They can put it on their TV, and then you really do become that guide. They trust you, and they might watch you for a year before they reach out because they just want to learn about an area. And by the time they do, they think you're that person who's going to show them around. So it's pretty cool how it works, and there's really not much like it.
Yeah. How does that lead come in? What does it sound like when they call you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Most people ask if you have time to take on another client, which is interesting because when I first got one, I had a ton of time to take on more clients. But they already want to work with you because they've watched you, they've built the trust because you've already explained areas to them. You've told them about the market, the places to live, maybe reasons not to move there. And by the time they reach out, they already like you. And it's almost like half the relationship is there and you have to like them, which is interesting. But what I found is they reach out, they usually schedule, through Calendly or send me a text and we set up a call and they're always just excited to talk because it's like real it goes from either their laptop, their phone or TV to, all right, now it's in person. And they're just the coolest people to work with. The best clients, in my opinion, come from YouTube and obviously your sphere. But if you're talking strangers, hands down, YouTube clients are the best.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a sphere lead, right? It feels like somebody calling
Yeah.
from your sphere. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say even better than a referral from your sphere because they already know, like, and trust you. Where the referral is like, I trust that person, maybe not you yet, but okay. Or where these leads, they really trust you already.
Yeah.
So it's that extra step in the relationship, and you feel like you know them. It's so interesting to show them around and feel that kind of connection already.
Yes. So a lot of the leads come in, they're real personal, right? They reach out directly to you. They want to schedule a call with you. They see you as their guide. And then there's another part of your business where the leads are a little bit colder, right? We got
Mhm.
maybe somebody that is interested in downloading a relocation guide. And then you have a great nurture system to follow that up because there's people that will come up to the fence, right? And be really interested, take your download, but they're not
Yeah.
really quite ready to take action yet. Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah. And the reason I started call to actions or really lead magnets on YouTube is because I was thinking I have all these views happening and likes, but I don't know who they are. And even people who comment on YouTube, it's not like Instagram. You can't go message them. It's totally protected. So you can't go and email them, text them, DM them on YouTube. So you're kind of lost if you don't have contact information. So I saw someone else doing lead magnets saying, "Hey, download this guide." And then I went and checked it out and I was like, "Oh, they got to submit their email and their name. This is genius, right?" So that's how you know who it is that's watching. So I started making lead magnets that are guides or relocation roadmaps or quick new construction guides and adding those into my scripts and my videos, and they would download them. And now I have their email. And now just imagine they don't come back on YouTube for a month because they're not really on it that much. Well, now I have their email and I can start up a weekly email where I'm always in front of them. So that's what I did. I started a weekly email, just a few segments in the email, really simple, nice looking, where every week now they hear from me, they see my latest video, and then anything else I want to tell them that week that makes them feel like I'm their guide again. I'm the insider that's giving them the information, and it's worked out really well. And I've already seen deals from it. So it's a pretty cool ecosystem you can set up on YouTube if you just put it all together.
Yeah, and that's that weekly email that you're talking about. That's more of like you're giving them market updates. You're giving them information that they need in the market. You're giving them the latest video. Is there other things that you're adding to that email?
Yeah, yeah. So I started adding my favorite listing. I actually just gave this example last week. The best listing I saw in one of my favorite cities, which is Frederick, Maryland, I put on there. I said, this is my favorite listing. And it turned out that helped me get a showing for that listing coming up. So it's I put favorite listings, maybe unique listings in the area, or a deal of the week type of thing, which we talk about in Agent Rise. Maybe what I think is the best equity builder in there, or like major updates to the area that they wouldn't know otherwise. Or what did I see in showings last week that I think you should know? That's the stuff I'm putting in there where they just can't Google it. They can't find it. So then they open it because they want to know, like, what's going to happen this week? Or I found something really funny on a showing. I'll put that in there too, just to keep it funny and interesting. And it works.
That's beautiful. One of the things, you know, if you're listening to all of this, you might be thinking, man, there's a lot of dots to connect. There's a lot of integration here. Like, yeah, I love the lead magnet thing and connecting all of this. You've simply used ConvertKit, or now called Kit, which is a free up to 1,000 members or 1,000 email addresses. And you've put the special reports together and the guides together with ease, and it connected all of that. But some people might hear this and just think, gosh, there's just so much to do and so much to connect. How do you handle that workload? And now I'm also seeing you go into hiring and advancing and stepping out into areas that you haven't stepped out before. How do you keep doing this?
Yeah. Well, I think just like when you see the YouTuber on there and they look all polished and they have everything really going for them, you don't have to be like them right away. So, started with my phone, filming on the selfie camera, learned that I should probably flip it over and go to the back camera. And then I got an actual camera. So you do one step at a time. And I would say build the channel first and find your style. You have to film the videos before you're worried about whether or not your lead magnet's going to work. But the lead magnet, once you have the main channel set up, it doesn't seem like such a big project, I would say. It's just one piece at a time. And don't try to do it all at once, where you think you have to have this full ecosystem set up. And that's where people just don't do it at all because they think it's too much. So you just start your channel. You sign up for the channel first. Then you figure out, what do I write for my description? What's my photo going to be? What are my first 10 topics, which you give an Agent Rise, and then once you film those, maybe you can think about the lead magnets, and then it won't seem so overwhelming, is what I would say.
Yes, yes. And did you find your voice right away? We always say that you got to kind of find your voice, like compared to your first video to where you're at today. How much more comfortable are you?
Yeah. Oh, my first videos, I had no idea what style I wanted. Someone had told me that you should be you times two. So I tried that, and I was too much energy. Then I brought it back down and I was a little too dull. So we give this advice, I guess, in Agent Rise a lot. You hear it going around, is just talk to them like you're talking to a client who you recently maybe talked to. And how would you talk to them if they were asking that question? And once I started thinking of it that way, it's easier. Talking like me and you are now. If you're trying to overproduce and not be yourself, it can be challenging. But I would say around 10 videos, it really does feel like you get in the groove and you become yourself, and it only gets better from there. And then also you improve your camera and your backdrop and all the things, but just find your style in those first 10 videos. You can't give up in the first 10. Just chug through, or just go through them, and you'll be happy that you got past the kind of the awkward stage, and then you just keep going from there.
That's it. And you're never running out of content, are you? I mean, in all the videos that you've produced, you're going, right? You get the first 10 done, and then you kind of find your groove. Is that right?
Yeah, and the cool thing is you can make the same video 4 times. So you make a video on pros and cons in 2022, and then you can make it again in 2023 and call it updated pros and cons for 2023. So you end up having this endless cycle, and you realize things that maybe should have been in the video that weren't. So really, you just pick your towns and your areas and your neighborhoods you want to be in, and it really feels like there's endless content ideas. But I really feel like if you just sit down and focus on the place you want to be, look at the 10 titles, you can make a lot of videos that way.
So you've also you've taken the 10 videos that we give you inside Agent Rise and the go wide and the go narrow plan, like Maryland versus Virginia, and you go wide and then you go narrow and you get down into the neighborhoods. And one of the things that I've seen you do very well is getting into the neighborhoods, talking about the neighborhoods, being that neighborhood guide, offering an ultimate seller's guide or homeowner's guide for that neighborhood. What has the results been of getting down into the neighborhoods now that you have the top 10 built and all of that? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's much easier to explain to clients what's so great about the neighborhoods. I actually went out on a tour with YouTube clients recently where every single neighborhood we went to, I had sold a house in last year. And it only happened that way because I decided to learn about them. And you go from your city, your town, and then you move into those and you study so much, you eventually get a client there. And then once you get a client there, you really know about the area. You know the insider information. Maybe you know about the builder and the problems, the good things and the bad. And I think that really helps you when another client is interested to secure a deal there or not. Maybe it's not a good fit, but it really helps. And it starts wide, and you make your way in, and eventually you become the expert on certain neighborhoods. You love working in them, and then you attract more people to the same neighborhoods.
And one of the best things that we found is with the neighborhood videos is that it attracts sellers as well, right? Because they are looking to move into the neighborhood. They're already familiar with the area, but they're building a new home or buying a new home, and they have an existing home to sell. You've run across that quite a bit too, right?
Yeah. I was surprised about that, actually. I thought YouTube would be almost strictly buyers from out of state, really. And the first time I got a seller call or seller lead call from YouTube, I was kind of thrown off. Like, you found me on YouTube? Why? And it was because I had focused on their neighborhood, and they didn't even search for their neighborhood. It's just, I guess YouTube had put it in front of them because they live there. They were searching something totally separate, and I popped up. So it was pretty cool. And since then, that same neighborhood has brought me more seller leads just because I focused on it and hit it so hard that YouTube decided they need to watch. And even if they're looking to move somewhere else, because it knows they probably live in that area, it's putting it in front of them. So it's been cool. And again, those seller clients are the same way as buyers. They're just awesome to work with. They already know you. They already trust you. The listing appointment is more of just a kind of a hangout. Like, what are we going to do here? What's the plan? It's not so much selling yourself. Even better than the listening appointment we talk about. It's cool. It's a fun time.
That's it. And they see the way that you're marketing the neighborhood, right? And you're explaining the neighborhood and being the guide for the neighborhood. And I would want somebody to represent me the way you're representing the neighborhood, so I can just see how the calls naturally come in.
Yeah, I would do the same. I mean,
Yeah.
if someone's explaining the events in my neighborhood and that agent knows it, I'm going to go with them over someone who may not know my neighborhood so well. So
Yes. So let's shift gears a little bit. You've explored into a new Instagram strategy, right? So YouTube is working just beautiful. You're generating, lead wise, you're generating, 20 to 30 leads a month. I remember in March you had around 30 buyers register or take, schedule a call with you or somehow make a connection with you from YouTube. And that's just amazing. The results are just so amazing. And now we want to bring that strategy over to Instagram. And there's a lot of talk right now in the industry of agents actually succeeding on Instagram. And I'm excited for what you're working on. Can you explain a little bit about the new process you're using for Instagram?
yeah, it's been a lot of work studying it, but now I think I figured it out here. So I was getting no leads on Instagram before. What my strategy before this was post my solds, my under contracts, maybe what I'm doing if I'm out on a showing, the basics, pretty much what a lot of agents are doing. And I realized it wasn't in line with my YouTube. If someone found me on YouTube and they go over there, I'm not really the guide over there. I'm just, yeah, they see the solds, but no one really cares about solds. Sorry if you're posting solds. I was doing it too. I still put it in my stories, by the way. But what I found out was if I'm going to be attracting leads on there, I need to pick one strategy and one actual client. What's the avatar, as we call it? Who am I actually trying to target on here? And I realized it was the same people that I would target on YouTube. I want to work with those people who are relocating because I've become good at it. It's now my specialty to help relocation. So my strategy on Instagram shifted from just solds, the basics, to showing the lifestyle. And I think that's what people are looking for now. They want to see the pretty things, the cool things to do, the updates that they need to know about if they're moving from out of state. And they want to know what it's like to live there. And Instagram in particular, I think you have to have a little bit more production, camera quality, how you're filming, all of that. But if you have the right hook and show them the lifestyle, the leads come in.
So you're selling the dream, right? You're selling the
Yeah,
dream of living in Maryland, and you're using POVs, right? Point of views, and you're talking about what it's like to live there and document it with great 4K video. But it's not talking head so much, right? Can you talk a
right.
little bit more about what the actual content looks like?
Yeah, the cool thing is I talk all the time on YouTube, but Instagram is faceless, and it's targeting the same type of client. So it's videos of the communities, really great videos. I go around and I think, well, what if I was going to move here? What would I think is the coolest part of this town or this neighborhood that would make me want to move there? If it's a city, am I going to show the downtown streets and how picturesque they are? Or if it's a neighborhood, am I going to get a drone shot of how big the houses are and how big the yards are and the pool that's in the community? So it's all faceless for the most part, and it really people love it. They love looking at it. But I'll say I'll warn people who are going to switch their Instagram over because this happened to me. In the beginning of the process, when you switch your avatar over or you switch your posting style, your original followers probably aren't following you for that. So I learned this the hard way, but it's worth it. So when I switched from the content I was doing to this new content, my current followers didn't want to see it. So I did see a lag in Instagram in my view count. Almost, I think I got put in Instagram jail actually because I'd made too many changes. But then I stuck with it for about 2 weeks or so, and it flipped, and it's like it turned on, and they realized, I didn't get hacked. This is still me, and it's just a new style. And then my view count started going up, and I had one post go viral that definitely helped, and the leads started really coming in from there.
That's beautiful. I want to come back to that post that went viral. I want to talk about that one. But who are you connecting with? And you've changed your followers and your connections. Who are you looking to connect with?
Yeah, yeah. So what I did is I figured out where all the people are living now that currently moved to Maryland the most, or I guess the states that the most people move to Maryland from. And I targeted those as far as following accounts, the best accounts in those areas, travel, food, their visit, whatever city sites. And I connected with them. I started interacting with all of those areas where people are moving out of to move to Maryland first. So I had to understand where they were coming from. And then once I knew that, I could target, well, if they like these videos that are really cool about food in that city, I need to copy that style for here. And I like this style, So that's what I did. And I found that I connect with a lot of like minded people who want a nice historic town where they can go and get a lot of great food. And, I knew what they wanted. And I knew maybe they want a bigger house just outside of that because I kind of figured out that avatar pretty quickly and then stuck with it.
That's awesome. So the post look like, you got 4K video, you got POV. And guys, we're going to link up Eddie's Instagram below and make sure you send him any referrals coming to Maryland. We owe Eddie here. So yeah,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
yes. So we'll link you up below here. And they're POV videos. So it's like
Mhm.
a 5 to 7 second clip of a video, 4K, really high quality, drone preferably, really eye catching. And then, or little clips. I've seen some other videos of yours that have little clips of POVs clips, and then you have just a text across the front of the video, and then you get them to read the caption. You really encourage them to read the caption, and then in the caption, you're storytelling. Can you elaborate a little bit
Exactly.
on that?
Yeah, yeah. The hook is to make them read that caption, right? So the order that they go in on Instagram is they read the hook first, then they watch the video almost simultaneously. They bounce back a little bit, and then if the hook is good enough and the video is good enough, they'll go to the description. And the description, you really want to tell a story. It's not salesy. It's really telling them what it's like to live there, and maybe a story about when you first showed up there. It has to be enough to keep them going. So multiple paragraphs, like this might be the right place if this is what you're looking for, and you give them the full picture of the lifestyle in the neighborhood, what they need to know. And then on the bottom you put more call to actions and lead magnets, just like YouTube. And this is the coolest thing actually about Instagram is you can use the same guides on YouTube on Instagram. So you're not doing the work twice. I'm linking them to the same roadmap that I link on YouTube, the same guides that I link on YouTube. So all I have to do is add one more automation and I get them there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you had a video that you asked people to request a download of the guide. And that one went viral and you got a lot of leads from that. Can we talk through that one?
Yeah, yeah. So the thing about Instagram is people love the beautiful houses, right? So and unique things as well. So I had a really unique listing that my buyer secured that just had an amazing staircase. If you go to my Instagram at Eddie Brady Real Estate, and you'll see it below, you'll see it. It's an amazing stairwell with a glass wall, really unique post and beam house. And I put the story, my clients were looking for a place close to work, no cookie cutters, in the woods, all that. And it just hit the right chord and the right music. It just looked amazing. And in the description, I asked them to download the relocation roadmap, and I think I'm well over 100 downloads on that now, at least on that. And it's been so cool connecting with people through just one post. And I've sent out referrals from the post already. It's cool. So yeah,
That's it.
and that's the thing. Not everyone will go viral like that. You just hit the right time, the right post,
Yeah.
but it's cool when it does.
That's something that I just admire about you is your approach is you're truly who you are. The same person that you are on camera is the same person you meet in person. You are not salesy. You've used call to actions like just download the Google Doc below. You've made it really simple for people to get things from you, and you've captured their email addresses, and then you've stayed in touch with them in a non-salesy way, just information based over and over. And I just admire you in all of that. One of the questions that I forgot to ask you when we were talking YouTube, but it plays into both of this here, is your style of call to action. And in a video, you give multiple call to actions, and you make it very easy for them to connect with you. And I think that that's been a big part of your success. How do you approach that? How can you encourage others to do the same?
Yeah, I took a lot of tips from others in Agent Rise, obviously, that are doing very well with their call to actions. And I would say you have to treat it like you're really trying to help them. Because if it sounds like all you want is their email to sell them a house, then they're gonna pick up on that. So I want them to get my relocation roadmap because I want them to know the steps. And maybe they never end up working with me. I would never know, right? If I might have their email, but I don't know who they are. So you have to kind of have that service first mindset. And with the call to actions, you have to do it multiple times or else they might not do it. Some people need the encouragement, call me, text me, schedule the call. No, I really mean it. Schedule the call, download the guide because you really need this to understand what's going on or how to make this move actually happen when you have a house to sell and all these things. That's what I'm here for. And when you say it like you're really their guide because you are, they feel it and they know that you're there to help them. And I've answered so many questions for people who told me up front they're not going to use me as an agent. I was still happy to do it. It was just cool that they found me. And you just have to have that mindset around it. And in your video, when you say it, if you have that kind of tone, people are going to trust you, they're going to like you, and they're going to click on it.
That's awesome. On YouTube, you're directing them to a landing page. They're filling out a lead form. On Instagram, you're doing it through Messenger, though, right? They're putting guide or download, or I forget what your word was, but they're putting guide in the what was your word? I forgot it.
Oh, I have multiple. I have guide. I have roadmap.
Roadmap. That's the one I was
yeah.
thinking of. Yes. So they put roadmap in the chat, and then you've got ManyChat plugged in, so it automatically kicks back to them. Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah. So if they comment, I use comments for the most part, but I have it set up for DMs just in case. If they were to comment roadmap on my posts, they'll automatically get a DM through ManyChat. It's so easy to set it up on there now. It's almost there's no work if you go on there, and there's a free version. But they'll comment, they'll automatically get a DM from me with the link, and then once they do that, it'll take them to the same ConvertKit landing page on my website to put their name, email, and download it. And then they're in the same exact list that my YouTube people are. So the cool thing about that is if they only found me on Instagram, now they see my YouTube videos. And they're in this whole ecosystem of just information from me. And I'm always here at all times. Every week I'm going to be here with new information. And I think that's the point is you want to get them in there, give them everything they need, and they're going to work with you. If they like you, they're going to work with you, So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And with all of this, Eddie, right? You've got your attraction pillar really taking off and it's doing really well. We've got a new strategy you're going to be launching with your chase pillar, which is going to be digital geo farming. We'll have you back on the show once we get that rocking.
Let's get it
And
going. Yeah.
yeah, that'll be the chase pillar. And your sphere is strong. You've got a strong mailing list of people that you know, love, and trust in your market. You're doing client events and additional things. And so you're truly rocking according to the three pillar plan. What would you say to a new agent that's listening to this, or a stuck agent that, go back to when you started? Like, what are the beginning, and how do you get this all rolling? And how has Agent Rise played a part in all of that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. It's because it's hard in the beginning. There's so many ideas that you could follow in real estate, especially if you go on YouTube and you start, Googling ways. How can I be successful? It's going to be tough because there's so many ways. But what's nice about Agent Rise is that the program has stayed the same. It's the 12-week planner and the three pillar plan. And I would say if you're struggling and you're not already in it, definitely get in it and do Bootcamp. That is by far the best resource for getting started in real estate because it's 12 weeks or so of going through how do I actually start from the ground up as a brand new agent, sending the announcement letter, going through all that. I would say that's number one. And then really believing in the plan. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to follow it. I saw that it worked for other people, and that's how I am. If I see this plan is working for this agent, it can work for me if I just stick with it. So bootcamp, actually build out your three pillar plan and use the 12-week planner, and you'll see results.
One of the things I admired about you, you've taken boot camp multiple times, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I
you
think
learned
I'm
from it
on
every time?
5.
5, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
that just
It's
helped you.
worth it every time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, it just helped you fill in the gaps of things that you heard differently the second time?
Yeah, like even when your business is up and running, you'll forget really basic principles about the plan and why you're doing it. You could get lost a little bit in the doing the business versus why am I even set up this way? And it's a really good reset, especially if you force yourself to rewrite your vivid vision and realign with it and think, well, is this really still what I want? And if not, well, my goals need to change. So it's really important to go through boot camp again and to see what you missed.
Yeah, you're very good at measuring your wins and your gains and to seeing what you've already done and accomplished, and then you just keep that going, right? You want more and more of that in your life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love progress. So I love building. I think that's the cool thing about real estate is you can build it to an infinite scale, right? There's no limits on what you can do. So I love the progress of it, and going through boot camp and all the things just helps you kind of piece it all together along the way.
That's great. And that's really great advice for a newer stuck agent because, in boot camp we talk about dreaming with the lid off. So you cast that vision, right? And then we get into the 12-week year, and you're amazing at the 12-week year and have done wonders with that. Can you elaborate on the 12-week year?
I don't know about amazing, amazing. I've done it so many times. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've just tried so many different ways of writing the vivid vision until it just clicked, and I think that's part of the commitment thing and consistency in real estate is you have to keep going and keep the repetition. You need repetition to get good at it. So my first 12-week planner, I just didn't know how to write goals. And I don't actually enjoy planners as a person. I don't like planners. I never liked them. I only like it because it works, and if it didn't work, I wouldn't be following it. So as a person who doesn't like planners, which a lot of you listening probably don't like them, or you don't like calendars, written planners, it 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 doesn't really matter whether or not you do. I would say you still just plug into it and you'll realize that you enjoy what it does for you. And you just get better over time, better at setting the goals, your vision, how to actually break it down into steps every week. That was challenging for me. Like, all right, cool. I have a 12-week goal, but what do I do this week? That was always challenging. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I mean, you just put out a resource recently where there's examples now. So just how to really break it down, like the worksheet that you put out. So that was cool. Yeah, it's just a repetition thing.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about building your belief, right? You've built your belief over time. When you started out like this plan, yeah, I think this could work, but then you were surrounded by others where it was working, and then you built up your belief. And I even remember our conversation about newsletters where it was like, I don't want to mail newsletters. I'm going to print these things out and mail them. Like it didn't make any
Yeah.
sense to you, right? But you built the belief around it, and then you plowed forward.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to just commit. If you have to trust the plan, right? So it's the same with coaching. When I joined Agent Rise Coaching, I was also a person who didn't want to be coached. In general, I didn't want to be told what to do. I've never been like that in my whole life. And anyone listening that really knows me knows that about me. But I told myself, if I'm going to do it, I just have to listen and follow the steps. So, and I tell anyone new on our team, like our brokerage, that when they join, just do it. Just follow the steps, and you can do your own little tweaks later, but just follow the plan because it works. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, and you can see people that are already getting the results. So it's not hard to believe if you look in the community and start seeing the people that follow it, they're always in a business that they love that's doing well. And the people that aren't, they might be struggling. Even outside, if you don't have that, that's where I think you kind of get into those lulls and the struggle in the business.
That's funny to me because Eddie, I would think that you're one of the most coachable. You've been so
Oh man,
coachable. It's I didn't
it
know
took a
that
lot
about
of
you.
work and years to get here.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, it's committing to I'm gonna listen and
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it, and that's why it works. I didn't want to do YouTube at first. It's just you told me to so many times that I did it, and I saw it worked. So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it, and if I do it, I'm not going to look up until I do 100 videos. Is what I told myself, and that helped.
And Eddie, you have done that your entire career. I've watched you do it. I'm watching you do it right now. You're hiring before you actually need somebody, and you're hiring. Making that next hire, and you're growing, and it's scary at times, right? You're going into
Yeah.
uncharted territory, but you're doing it all over again. It's like I'm seeing the same Eddie Brady that I saw 3 years ago when we started coaching. I'm seeing you do it all the same way, but just on another level. It's so awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like it's new every time for me. It's you think you get somewhere and then you're like, oh, I'm at the bottom again. But I think that's probably the point, right?
Yep. Yep.
Otherwise you're not going to grow. But yeah, made some hires recently that were really challenging mentally. Certain parts of the year can be leaner on deals than others, and when you hire in those periods, you really have to have that vision of why you're doing it. So yeah, I believe it's going to pay off just like everything else. But yeah, it can be a challenge.
That's good. That's such. There's just so much here that is going to help agents. I got one last question for you here. And what is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice ever received is from my dad. Something that he told me when I was a teenager and going through kind of a tough time. He gave me the whole saying, "Fear is just false evidence appearing real." Fear is false evidence appearing real. And it's funny because I don't remember much when I'm younger, but I remember that saying, and I've heard it many times since. I think if you look into self-improvement and all that, you hear it, but I never heard it before that. And it's just one of those things that you hear from your parent and it just sticks in there. And that kind of helps with everything, and I've really embodied it more now than then. Then I'm like, okay, that really kind of got to me. There's something there, but I wasn't really, like I am now where it's true. There's so many things you worry about in this business, and just life don't happen. They don't end up really happening. They never were real in the first place. And so I love that saying, and it stuck with me. If it's the one thing that comes to mind, the one thing I can remember from my life, that's it.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love it. And we got to give a shout out to your dad, Ed, and to your mom, Sue. We love them very much. And thank you so much. That's
Yep. They're
great.
the reason I'm in the spot I'm in now.
Yes,
So
yes, I can
yeah.
see it. I get the blessing to work with them as well in coaching, and so I know them really well, and it's such a blessing, and I've seen such an impact that they've made on your life. It's so cool, so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome working with
Good,
them.
good. Any final words that you would give to an agent that is growing, stuck, wants to be more like Eddie when they grow up? What would you say to them?
Be you for sure, not me. But I would say the thing, if I were to kind of boil it down to why the things have worked for me, it's just committing to it and going all in. The real when they say burn the boats, I mean really burn the boats. Put yourself against the wall and commit and know that it's going to work and have that belief, and it'll pay off. And you'll find your style and your pillars and all of that. It doesn't have to be exactly what I do or anyone else, but you'll find it if you just commit to the process and believe in it and stick to it, even on the days you don't feel like it, which honestly, it won't be that often where you really feel like it. Stuff like this is really fun, but a lot of things in this business aren't when you're building and until you get there. So just stick with it, commit, and you'll be glad you did.
Thank you so much, my friend. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
You've got so much. I feel like we could talk all day. This is great.
Yeah. Bring me on for a third in the future.
Right. Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Eddie. I appreciate you, my friend. And thank you so much for listening to the Agent Rise podcast. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.